Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first show match of the March 2018 session. I am Penguin God, joined here by Denna, and we are hopping to Champ Select right now.
Hello, very excited to cast this game between Team Alvaro and Team Joe's Harem. How are you today?
Pretty good, pretty good. We have Joe's Harem on the blue side and Team Alvaro on the red side. We see the picks and bans coming through right now. We have already done the picks and bans through the use of the tool of Pro Draft, and so we know what's going to happen, but you viewers, you don't know what's going to happen.
All right. some very typical ADC bans here, very, very strong in the new meta of Kaisa, Jin, both very prominent users of the Rage Blade here. So with these pinch on the ADC, what do you expect they fall back onto?
I expect they fall back onto the simple picks of things like Caitlyn, Tristana, stuff like that. That's gonna be pretty easy
To
uh,
execute on,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. They have a lot of safety, a lot of mobility. But we're gonna see each person pick their champion in their role. Um,
Hmm.
and
So
so
we'll see the top lane matchup right here.
yeah, we'll see the Jax versus Garen matchup, and that's gonna be something interesting. Because Garen can just kind of outlast Jax if he gets if he gets the
The
resistances for it.
passive proc, yeah.
Yeah, but Jax can just like kind of split push against him and do really well in the late game. Jax is going to be able to get
Hmm.
the damage and be sustained through it with that counter strike, but we see the
Hmm.
jungle matchup coming through of Sejuani versus Skarner. This is kind of like the
Yeah,
the LCS special now, where
yeah,
uh, Sejuani is a really solid early tank, and Skarner does pretty much the same thing. Except he has a button that pulls an enemy into your team, so that's about it. Um,
hmm,
and then we have Galio versus Cassiopeia. Now this is an interesting matchup in my opinion. Um, I think it's more favored in Galio, but Cassiopeia
I
could
think,
get ahead and kind of melt him down because he can't really get away too easily. He can farm safely from a distance, but I think the main key factor here is if he first items Adaptive Helm and then goes into AP, then I think he'll be fine.
yeah, absolutely. I think the mid lane is just going to be all about the shove back of how quickly Galio can clear the wave and maybe get a roam with the heroic entrance.
Hmm.
And then, like you mentioned, the jungle, the Sejuani provides a very good opportunity for the Galio heroic entrance into the backline, and so does the Jax. And there's the Caitlyn that you were mentioning, and then we'll see the lane opponent, which is actually a Lucian here, and so a more aggressive bot lane coming out of Joe's harem there with the Borom pick and the Lucian. So very, very very full of pressure kill lane in the bot side,
Yeah,
and
we
then
have Lucian Braum in the bot lane. Lucian Braum is widely regarded as one of the easiest lanes for Braum to play in, just because he's
mhm,
got Lucian at his side and he can double hit and grab that passive way easier. It's really way easier for Lucian to get that stun off than it is almost any other champion. But on the enemy side, we have Caitlyn Lulu, which is just such an easy like stay back and farm lane. Um,
exactly their poke is extremely powerful. So we have a classic poke versus engage here in the bot side.
yeah, we
And
do.
so if they just wait it out, if the bot side from Joe's Harm does not properly force an engagement with the touch from Braum Q, then it's going to be very, very difficult for them to sustain in lane because of the significant range difference, I think, between Lucian and Caitlyn. And especially with the Lulu and Braum, there's just such a range deficit on the side of Joe's Harm.
Yeah, that really is. Lucian Braum's gonna have a hard time even coming back in this game if they get put behind. They're gonna have a hard time matching up to all the range that Team Alvaro is gonna have. They the Skarner and Cassiopeia are just gonna outrange them. Lucian's not gonna be able to dash, and Braum isn't gonna be able to jump at with the Cassiopeia miasma, and
Hmm.
uh, that's going to be a really big detriment for them. There are 5 champions on the side of Joe's Harem that all have movement abilities, which will all be reduced by that miasma, and so we'll have to see how Cheesy plays with that miasma, and that's going to be a very big factor in these games, I think.
Absolutely.
Yep. We also see that the Cassiopeia has gone cleanse, whereas Galio has gone teleport. That's gonna give Galio even more freedom to roam with that hero's entrance.
Hmm.
If he can just hero's entrance to the top or bot side, I expect it to be bot side though because Braum Lucian. But the
Exactly.
the
Either side, pretty much anyone on the side of Joe's harm can act as a catalyst for that Galio's roaming, and so I think it's going to be very, very dependent on the pressure that Joe's harm will exert onto the side of Team Alvaro because they have the priority essentially. They have all the mobility, like you mentioned, on every single member. Whereas if you look at the side of Team Alvaro, they actually have one mobility tool from the 90 caliber net from Caitlyn. So if they can manage, if they miss position or if they get caught by a Winter's Bite or even a Glacial Fissure from Braum, then it could very easily lead to a significant pick.
yeah, it could. But we see here the overall team comps from each of these sides. Joe's Harem
Hmm.
has a very get on you, team fighty, scrappy, brawly comp. They with the Jack, Sejuani, Galio.
Yeah.
But Team Alvaro has a very kitey, pick off. We're gonna kill one target really quickly comp.
Hmm.
With the Garen, Skarner, Cassiopeia, even Caitlyn, I guess. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
Caitlyn does build her Nance Hurricane, so she's less single target focused than she could be. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how these two comps face against each other.
Hmm.
So
I definitely think that this is a significant matchup.
it is gonna be really interesting. But we're gonna wait out the last bit of the spectator delay with some music, with some tunes. You guys should hold on, don't touch the browser. We aren't going anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hmm. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Today we have the very first show match of our Learning Fives May and March session. So it will be between Joe's Harem and Team Alvaro. Introducing blue side, we have Dot Luminance, top lane monitoring the Jacks. We have Penguins Mafia playing Sejuani in the jungle. We have Fabricio 12345. I'll shorten that down to Fabricio playing the Galio. We have R7 Jungle Milk playing Lucian, and Savage Garden on the Braum supporting him.
Yep, and we have a pause, gives us more time to introduce these players. On the red side, we have OM King plays on the Garen on the top side, Tomahawk's Skarner in the jungle, taking that Predator, going to be running fools down, Cheesy on the Cassiopeia in the mid lane, Grabrice, Grabber, God, that cut off on my screen. I'm gonna
Yeah.
call him Grab, um, and playing the Caitlyn in the bot lane, and then Epic Chronomancer on the Lulu in support. And
Just waiting for.
Jungle Milk is back now. He did not. I noticed he did not load in the loading screen, and so he had to
Looks
load
like
back
he's
there.
good to go.
Yep, yep.
Absolutely.
But we see here typical jungle starts. Um, each jungle opponent starting the same thing with
Mhm.
that Hunter's Talisman and refillable pot. And yeah,
I actually think it's very interesting that you brought up the jungle, and I want to look at the actual keystones. Then we have Tomahawk bring the standard Predator, and then Penguin's Mafia taking Aftershock. Uh, we've actually seen other Sejuani's take Fleet Footwork. What's your opinion on that difference between the Fleet Footwork and the Aftershock choice? Oh,
so
grabs her poison.
Grab is getting hit up by that Brom Q, but
Mhm.
to touch on that point, then we mostly see the fleet footwork taken for the early game clears, primarily because Sejuani doesn't really have a good way to clear the jungle very quickly, so she needs that heal to get through it with safety. Tomahawk could see the keystone and recognize that and invade. Skarner does very well to Sejuani early, especially because Sejuani is going to be really low without that fleet footwork. But
Mhm.
Aftershock does really well mid and late game with the team fighting and the CC that she brings, and she doesn't really need any resistance items. She's just gonna grab that Warmog's probably second item. Um,
Mhm. Especially with her passive, the dual nature of the resistance from her keystone and her passive will make her really, really tanky very, very quickly.
yeah, um, without even grabbing a resistance item, she's gonna be so tanky with this aftershock. But she's gonna have such a hard time clearing early, except for maybe this first red buff because she's got the bot lane with her. Other than
Yeah,
that, it'll be pretty
the
tough.
Winter's Bite proc from the Braum is definitely going to help her out and clear that camp.
Yep,
And
this
we
should be
see,
pretty easy.
yep, we see the same starts from both sides. Each jungler going to be starting on their bot side and padding pretty standard.
Yep. Savage Garden does take the more aggressive way to get to lane, and they do not miss any CS. I mean, he missed CS, but they were in
He
lane
was
for
in
the
time
XP.
for CS. He got the
Yep.
XP.
Yep.
Absolutely. We see a little bit of trading, just a stun, Counter Strike lands onto King.
And I don't think
And we
that,
actually have Airy on the Garen.
yeah, that doesn't bode very well for the Garen in this lane. If Dot Luminous knows how to play this matchup, he knows that the exact range of his Counter Strike, he's going to be able to get that way easier. But Fabricio getting some damage onto him, Cheesy able to get some
Twin
poke
Fangs.
onto him. Twin
Oh, the
Fangs.
level 2 advantage here.
Exactly. We had the level 1 Galio to level 2 Cassiopeia, able to get some damage off, but Galio is just tanky naturally,
Yeah.
so he isn't
And
going to
with
be
the
too bad.
Winds of War, he's definitely able to clear out those waves very quickly.
Hmm.
And so, while he will take some poke in the early game, he does have that passive match, which is a shield, as well as the ability to clear out the waves. So he should be okay in lane, as long as he does not overextend too much and take too much damage for free.
Yep, we do see here almost a mirror out of the junglers, except Penguin's Mafia actually went for the Raptors and the Wolves. You can see his health bar is
Yeah.
extremely low after that. This is why Sejuani's are taking Fleet Footwork, so that you have a heal and a way to sustain yourself in the jungle, and you're not at like 100 HP after you clear
Hmm.
three camps.
Looks like
The
they're actually going to run into each other here. Nope. Just to dash away from Sejuani on the top half.
Yep.
Um, But yeah, noticing that, we can also see Tomahawk now is falling a bit low because he's going for that Raptor as well. And actually, oh, engage here, level 3 advantage. They might want to dive, and they do proc the passive from Braum, and they will get the first blood onto Epic Chronomancer. Gets tagged up by that Braum Q, and not long for this world.
Yeah, that Epic Chronomancer getting killed there on the Lulu. The kill going over to Jungle Book was really important, though Braum wouldn't be able to use it nearly as much as Lucian can. Lucian needs to get ahead in this lane to be able to
Hmm.
match up to the Caitlyn at all. Caitlyn does take a while to spike in power, but Lucian's power spike is like the early portion of mid game, and if he can get to that faster and get ahead of everyone else, then it's possible that he can just outmatch everyone else in this game and just dash around everyone.
Yeah,
It would be
absolutely.
so hypey to see Lucian. It's so cool to see Lucians that are really far ahead, make super big plays and just dash in and not die. Uh, it's just super
Yeah.
hypey.
One of those higher mechanical ADCs. And then we were mentioning this in the champion select actually, how this bot lane from Joe's Harem of jungle. Oh, gank top lane. The Skarner is here, and he will want to proc the counter strike to run away, but he actually hits the passive and will manage to be okay. Manages to dodge out the Skarner stun with the counter strike. Well played from Dot Luminant. He will be okay.
Yep, he
Um,
just uses that jump and gets out pretty easy. He did have to burn a pink ward for it though, so that's just gonna sit in the middle of the lane and be
yeah,
practically useless. That was kind of like a 75 gold get out of jail free card for him, and that was about
exactly.
it. Which
And so
as far as buying items go, I think 75 gold for a
pretty good.
one times get out of jail free card is pretty good. Pretty good.
Big trade there in the top side. And so we can see King there patiently waiting with his Q. Doesn't want to Q into the counter strike because I'm very sure that it will block. So being patient with that auto and getting the better of that trade. And it looks like actually Sejuani wants to make a play on the bot side here. And so, but on the other side of the map, there's also fighting in the top lane. And engagement here from Penguins Mafia onto Epic Chronomancer. But there's no follow-up from the bot side, maybe a little too far back. And so not able to properly make use of that Sejuani appearance and just going to back away without any loss.
Yeah, it looked like Jungle Milk and Savage Garden weren't really prepared for that. Whether it might have been Penguins Mafia not communicating, or it might have just been they weren't in a position to help them out.
I think there was a very big wave that they were shoving in. We could see it
Yeah.
before, and they want to make it happen again, but the Winter's Bite misses.
Ooh,
Oh, on the
Luminous.
other side here, Dot Luminous looks like he might get solo
Wait.
killed here. He wants to go back in. There's a flash from King plays if he wants, but he just lets him live for now.
Dot Luminance, what are you doing, man? You're feeling
Very,
it.
very greedy there.
He-
Going back in for that minion.
I think he was trying to get the stun off, but then mistimed it a little bit. It could have been a little bit of lag. Oh, the flash.
King here,
Oh.
level 6, drops a hammer on Dot Luminance. Staying a bit too long, even after he lives that once. But fool me once, fool me twice, right?
That was super hypey. Wow. And
Engagement here from the mid lane and the bot lane. A lot of action happening all over the map. But the Miasma as well. No man on the side of either mid laner. So nothing will happen.
Yeah, that's one thing we forgot to mention about the mid lane matchup is that everything each of these champions want to do relies heavily on the amount of mana they have. We should mention though that this is the most recent patch, so the presence of mind changes are through, the mana flow band changes are through, and I don't see the runes that Cheesy has taken, but it's very possible that he went mana flow band and presence of mind so that he can just have zero mana problem once he gets to that point. But there's sort of that delay time, that build up time where he's not as powerful as he's gonna be.
Yeah, and we can see actually in regards to those mana problems, he goes back and he picks up that Tear of the Goddess very early. It's typical Cassiopeia buy. So Cheesy here will be a little better with his mana problems, but I don't think Fabricio will be looking for that and actually might go more for the Roa, I think. So different paths to solve that mana problem.
Yeah, I think Fabricio is actually going to start with the exactly.
Oh,
He's going
that
to go for the
Abyssal.
Negatron cloak. He's going to go right for the Abyssal Mask, and yeah, that's going to be pretty solid in the lane. That's going to mean he can resist Cassiopeia. I do strongly think he needs to go for that adaptive helm though. Cassiopeia, it just hurts her so bad because all of her abilities have that extra damage over time effect on them, and
Yeah, and the repeated Twin Fangs proc. Oh, another gank here from the top side, but a bit too far back. Nothing's gonna happen.
exactly. Now here we see though that it
Looks like there's a roam bot.
in 8 minutes, we only have 2 kills, and that's actually pretty surprising for these games. Primarily, we see a lot of fighting. These teams like to be very aggressive, and we see these two teams being very reserved, very careful with their play, only trading kills in the bot and top side.
Yeah, and we can see there's Counter-Strike blocking that Q silence, but so many minions, and he does lose that trade there. But okay, what do you want to see each team do, essentially? We've talked about that bot lane matchup, how Lucian power spikes very early, and he actually spikes at the inverse of Caitlyn's spikes. Her mid game is probably her weakest trough.
Yep.
So how do you want to see each team pilot their team composition here and lead themselves to success?
So for the blue side, I want to see Sejuani gank bot and grab that tower so that their bot lane can roam and grab towers in other lanes. For the red side, because they have really early game advantages, and they want to push those and end the game early. Ooh,
Fighting bot lane here, there is the calling dropped onto the Lulu, but there is a minion wave and he will be okay. Glacial Fissure as well. A very, very lucky minion wave there, saving the Epic Chronomancer.
So
Dash
for
in here. There is a taunt onto the Cassiopeia mid lane, and there's Sejuani as well in the hindsight. Miasma as well, and the miss on the ultimate as well on the E, and the Cassiopeia will escape. Okay, Cheesy lives to see another day.
she's not having to burn any summoners there at all. That's really important. Cassiopeia is
Yeah.
really heavily reliant on those summoners to get away from sticky situations, and she just kind of positioned very well. And Penguins Mafia
Yeah.
kind of missed that ult as well.
Great movement there from Cheesy, managing to avoid that.
Exactly. Very, very good play by Cheesy here. Now, red side, they want to for their win conditions in this game at this point, they want to try and stall out the lane swaps coming that are going to be coming out of Joe's Harem here. They want to stay in lane as long as possible because Cassiopeia and Caitlyn are late game monsters, and Garen's just going to be a Garen and keep Jax in this lane. If Garen can sustain through these lanes and keep Jax from getting too far ahead, that's exactly what they want. There's no way that Garen's going to be able to match up to Jax late game.
Fighting here.
Yeah, they are fighting.
Just a bit of trading back and forth. But yeah, to your point actually, about the Garen versus Jax matchup, I actually want to point out the Garen's Dirk. He actually has a serrated Dirk here from the very early kill that he got. So it looks like he's actually opting to go for that lethality build. So he's going to be very squishy, but he's going to do an incredible amount of damage.
Yeah, so this is... So I'm not really a fan of the damage Garen build, lethality, crit, whatever you want to do. Usually the best build is going to be Black Cleaver into tank. Most doesn't match up to your lane opponent. But he seems to be going for the lethality Garen to match up against this Jax. He's also going to be building damage, but Jax has built armor and boots.
Yeah.
And he's going for the tanky option, where the Garen is going for the damage option. So
I think the lethality might just be for the Yomus. We'll have to wait and see where he goes from there, because the movement speed buff that he gets from that is quite significant. However, into the team that Joe's Harem has drafted here, there's a significantly very tanky front line. I don't really see who the Garen will look to burst, except for maybe the Jhin, because there's no way that you're going to one-shot the Jax once he gets armor. The Sejuani, as we talked about, is ridiculously tanky with those passive and the Aftershock. The Galio as well, and the Braum. All four of these members are very strong and will resist that lethality very easily. So maybe just for some early game pressure, but we'll have to see if he continues down that road or if he opts for a more conservative build.
yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. But that is one thing I will mention on the side of Joe's Harem. Is they do have a 4-tank comp with Lucian. If Lucian goes down, their only other damage threat is Jax, and Jax seems to be building primarily a tank. He's likely gonna go for a Triforce.
Looks like the Triforce, yeah.
Yeah, but he's gonna be primarily tanky, and so once if Team Alvaro can get onto Lucian and kill him in these fights,
Collapsing on this Gardener here.
yeah, Skarner is in a
Tomahawk up
real
out of
bad
position,
spot.
and the Galio looks like he's rotating as well. He's very deep in the blue side jungle here. He might take the Blast Cone and try and escape, maybe an execute, but everyone is rotating to catch this guy. He's backing off.
Oh, no.
He's trying to back in his push, but he will pop the Blast Cone. The miss of the Glacial Prison, and he will
Gets
escape.
out.
No problem. He is out without a worry. Pops that Blast Cone, channels that back, and he's absolutely fine. Wastes a lot of time on the side of Joe's Harem.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I guess that was like best case for Team Alvaro there. They
absolutely.
got time wasted. They got an ult wasted for like Skarner's time. That's about it.
For essentially free, I would say.
Yeah, like that was. I don't know why he was there in the first place. I don't know why Tomahawk was deep in the blue side jungle at that point, but he gets out scot free.
So it's no problem.
I guess.
And then
As a wise man once said, if it's stupid and it works, it ain't stupid.
exactly.
But we do see
so-
here that this tower is likely going to go down in this push, and that's going to mean that Jungle Milk and Savage Garden can roam. Ooh.
Yeah, they have freedom of movement. And Jungle Milk there actually looks like he wants to fight this. He will proc the passive on Braum, and the heal as well coming out of Caitlyn. Flash away, but it looks like double flash coming out of bot side here from the blue team, and they will manage to close out that kill. Very aggressive there from Skarner.
Yeah, it was. I don't know why he walked that far forward. We'll never know what he thinks, but he did burn both flashes out of Jungle Milk and Savage Garden. I don't think Savage Garden needed to flash there. Jungle Milk did have to flash to grab that kill, but
Definitely needed that kill.
Savage Garden didn't need to flash there. I will say. I don't know why
We
the
can see
tower.
Arm King and Dot Luminance here trading a lot. We can see a pretty significant deficit for Dot Luminance in that top side as well.
Yeah, he is about 30 to 40 CS down in that lane. I will mention that's an interesting interaction that I just noticed is Garen tried to Q the Jax through Counter-Strike, but it didn't do any damage, and it was under a tower, so the tower didn't focus him. Because
Right through the Counter-Strike.
Uh-oh. This is
Oh,
it.
flash there,
Oh, no.
flash follow, and the Galio heroic entrance as well, and there's the Strani here, wants to go and gets that E-proc, a few more passive autos, and she will get that Glacial Prison onto the Om King place, and he's trying to escape here. There's a stun prep, and he will get stunned up, and he will fall to Dot Luminance. big rotations there coming out of Joe's Harem. Manages to get that. Calling as well onto the Caitlyn here. Glacial Fissure, but will not find that kill. Oh, ace in the hole, blocked by Braum. But the Skarner is here. He pops the Predator, flash forwards from Epic Chronomancer. They want to get this kill. He tries to dash away, and I think the Braum will pay for his life. Stuns. Oh, the beautiful Q coming out of Gravisary. They will get both kills here. 2 for 0 on the bot side, and the fighting continues mid lane with Cheesy going in on Fabricio here. Just doing a lot of damage with those Twin Fangs.
That was so good from grabbing Epic Romancer in the bot lane. Tomahawk was just kind of there as like moral support, and he got an assist for it. But like, that was so
Beautiful
good.
fighting.
Like, Jungle Milk and Savage Garden, neither of them had flashes. Jungle Milk almost got out, but the Caitlyn Q came through to grab that last bit, that last hit onto the Lucian. He did not dodge it. He was not ready for it. He did not know what was coming to him there, and so he lost his life in that exchange. That was a 2 for 0 for the side of Team Alvaro. Also going to grab this tower when they thought they were going to lose their own.
Yeah, so all that early game pressure that the Braum and Lucian have built up comes crashing down very quickly. And so now we can see that the early game pressure from the Caitlyn and the Lulu is paying off.
Yeah, it is. I will say that Red side, they did, Team Alvaro, they did lose an opportunity to grab the dragon afterwards, considering they just killed bot lane, they grabbed that tower. They had time to rotate over to grab that Ocean Drake, but I don't think they value it as much as
That first blood tower.
yeah, that first blood tower. So
It looks like they're lane swapping here.
they wanted to play it safe, and they wanted to get their bot lane to go topside before the other bot lane, so that they can get pressure on that tower first. Because that tower is real low. You can see it already. It's below a quarter. It's ready to go down. So they're trying to put their bot lane over to it. And Jungle Milk Mafia just gonna grab up this dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that maybe the lane swap from red side was a little bit early there. Team Alvaro doesn't necessarily need to swap that lane yet. And so because of that preemptive swap, I think that they actually forfeit the dragon they had free pressure over. But they actually, it looks like they prefer the tower gold over that consistent regeneration that the Ocean Drag provides.
I will say that was probably a good trade for Alvaro there. They trade the Ocean Drake for the top tower, but I do think they could have gotten both. To be honest,
Yeah, I agree.
They could have gotten the dragon on the way out and then rotated top lane and grabbed that turret, because the turret was low as it is. They're winning in their respective lane opponents, and so they can just push them out of lane and grab that tower. It was only a couple hits away. You saw grab only auto attack it like 2 or 3 times before it went down, and so they could have gotten their had their cake and eaten it too there. You know,
Exactly. They could have had everything, but they still got most of it, and it's pretty good for them.
Yep.
And then this actually puts King Plays in quite a powerful position because he's in the long lane versus Dot Luminance. There's no tower for him, and so we can see him pretty much leverage that power. Oh, Penguin's Mafia here trying to go in on Cheesy, and Fabricio is here as well. He will land the ult, and it's cleansed away, and they will be A-okay. Just forcing that summoner out.
Yep, that was a cleanse burn on Cheesy, though. That's a really important summoner spell down, and that's something that needs to be communicated to the entire team.
Oh, good stun. Taunt as well. There's no Miasma. It's too far behind, and the Winds of War doing a lot of damage. But there's no damage, and Cheesy wants to chase him down here. The Twins Fangs doing a lot of consistent damage, and he will just back off, scared of the rotation from Penguin's Mafia.
Yeah, that was a good trade for Cheesy there. Cheesy got a lot of damage onto him from Fabricio, but the damage from Galio is really front-loaded. He doesn't really have a whole lot of follow-up damage after his initial combo was done, so the fact that Cheesy recognized that and went for the follow-up chase damage is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And then here we see that bot lane pressure that we were talking about. But it looks like they might want to fight topside. The passive is procced, and the Skarner is here, and he wants to do something. There's a Glacial Fissure to disengage, and it looks like 3 members. Oh, on the other side, 2 versus 1 onto King Place. He's stunned up once, twice, and he will fall. Yes, there it is.
Yeah, so that's one thing about Garen is he doesn't really have a good way to escape. Especially in a long lane like that. That's one thing that Jax has over him is Jax has that jump, that leap, that whatever you want to call it, that gets him into fights and out of fights. He's able to survive this lane and push the Garen out and actually get a roam from Penguin's Mafia and get the kill, and likely going to get a lot of damage on this tower and possibly get it. Yeah, they do get it.
Evening out those towers. Fabricio here going on to Cheesy. There is a rotation coming out of Tomahawk here, and the Predator as well flashed over the wall. Just the pressure of the Skarner impale is too much, too scary.
Yeah, that was a respect flash essentially. Fabricio.
focus onto Cheesy here. The Penguins Mafia here once again doing a lot of damage, but Fabrizio's just not there.
Yeah, Fabrizio wasn't ready for that. His flash is down, so he's probably going to be playing safe for quite a while. The flash on the Gallia being down means he's not going to have those flash taunts, but
Collapse onto
Tomahawk.
Tomahawk here. There's 4 members, almost 5 members of Joe's team right here, and they will knock down Tomahawk for free.
Fabricio bashing his face into Tomahawk there, grabbing that kill up for himself. Kills onto Gallia are really important considering he's going to try. He needs to match Cheesy in these lanes, and be able to sustain up through those lanes and not die immediately. We see Cheesy has gone for the slowest Cassiopeia build there is. He's going for a tier item and a rod of age. Excuse me, a rod of ages. And in the middle of that, he went for a haunting, guys. So he's going for that pen, he's going for the health, he's going for the sustain, he's going for everything slowly all at once. They have a slow, long game plan. It looks like they're gonna get it.
Yeah, but this means that their mid game is even weaker. While he's stacking his tier, while he's stacking his Rod of the Ages, the Caitlyn is also very weak. She's hitting her mid game trough right now, whereas Joe's Harem is actually coming online. They have the Triforce from Jax. They have that Abyssal Mask completed. They have the Essence Reaver. They pretty much have everything they want. So I definitely want to see Joe's Harem here make some plays happen. What about you?
Yeah, the one item power spikes out of Joe's Harem, they have a lot of them. They have many of them. They have the one item from Sejuani as well. They just have what they need in the early part of the mid game. And so, Tomahawk.
Oh, 3 members here. The Unbreakable is actually the wrong way, and the Flash Force out of the Lucian as well, but the Glacial Fissure will miss, and he's just dragged into 3 members, and Jungle Milk will fall. And the TP cancel as well.
That was really bad on the side of Jungle Milk there. He a little too far forward in that lane. Burns Flash, even though he just gonna die there anyway. He was just in range of the Predator Skarner there, so he wasn't able to get out. But that is a kill going over to Team Alvaro, and actually putting them ahead by a couple hundred gold. It doesn't really matter at this point in the game. A couple hundred gold is pretty negligible, and so
But while we're talking about how the red team, how Team Alvaro actually wants to be, should be behind, they're actually leading by a fair bit. So, or not by a fair bit, by a little bit. So, Joe's Harem actually does not feel as comfortable as they should with this mid-game comp that they've drafted.
Yeah, it's gonna be real rough for Joe's Harem here. They need to kick it online. They need to get in gear. I don't think they were ready for the picks that were gonna come out, and so King plays using the young moves to get out of there.
He's A-okay. And looking at his build, it looks like he has decided to go for more of that tanky build. He's opted for the Ninja Tabbies. It looks like it's going to be a dead man's play. So while he might not be the tankiest, he will be the fastest.
Yeah, this is what we call the full move speed Garen. And so
exactly.
He built U moves. He's like going to go for dead man's play. Let's just say he goes for a Shirelia's Reverie after that. Like he's ready.
Fast.
He's going to be the speediest Garen you've ever done seen.
Yeah. Completely run through the 4 tank members of Joe's Harem and isolate Jungle Milk and just cut him down with the ult. Well, looks like they want to fight for Infernal Dragon here. There is an ultimate and does land onto the Garen. If all 5 members here, beautiful stun onto 3, 4, and the Petrifying Gaze will not do enough, and there's a double kill for Jungle Milk, and it looks like Team Alvaro is just going to back off.
That was a fight over this Infernal Drake, and Joe's Harem wins that handily. Team Alvaro was not in a position to contest that. You see them all dying in that choke point after the Glacial Prison coming out from Penguins Mafia there. That was super solid by Joe's Harem. They were able to get that Drake. They were able to get 3 kills for themselves.
Wants to go for even more here. It will get tagged up, and he has to flash here as well. The Glacial Fissure, he still has it. Both passives from Sejuani and Braum ignited as well. The Winds of War misses, but he will get tagged up once again by Savage Garden, closing out that kill with his ignite.
I mean, that was a dive. That was the thing. They really wanted that kill for some reason. I don't know. They have it out for Cheesy, I guess. But they got the kill, and they're not gonna grab tower afterwards. But it looks like Jungle Milk is gonna rotate over and try and grab it up.
There's been a lot of focus onto Cheesy in this game. Constant pressure from Penguins Mafia, and there's actually big respect to him. He's only died that one time, and he's been absorbing that pressure relatively well up till then.
Yeah, exactly. Penguins Mafia is 0-0-7, almost 100% kill participation in this game. He's the catalyst of this team at this point. He's able to get those engages off and
basically apply pressure where the rest of his team needs it.
Exactly. He's able to be that front line for his team, but this needs to continue in the late game. This needs to continue as it transitions into the full-fledged mid-game Baron dance that we're going to see coming up
Hmm.
soon. And so,
Aaron is actually live now, so it looks like the teams are already on it. They're clearing out vision and they're setting it up themselves. And I do want to point out Sejuani's build, where she actually has opted for the no boots, the straight warmogs. So whereas Garen is not tanky and fast, Penguin's Mafia on the Sejuani is not fast but very tanky.
exactly, it's like they both spec heavily into one thing in an RPG, and
Hmm.
so they
The specialization is
exactly.
intense from both sides.
So they see you see here that um, we have a solid tank front line coming out of Joe's RM. Only the Braum isn't as tanky as the rest of his team, but the Jax also hasn't built a whole lot of tank items. Penguin's
Looks like
Mafia
they want to
coming
go
in.
here onto Epic Chronomancer. He does have to pop his own ult. It jumps right into Miasma and the Trapper from Savage Garden. He's forced to Unbreakable and walk away, and there's a lot of ults used just to disengage that fight that Joe's Harem started.
Yeah, so we saw there that uh, Joe's Harem was looking for something, but they just got stuck in a choke with the Miasma and the Caitlyn trap.
Hmm.
I will mention that Penguin's Mafia does need to be on point with these Glacial Freezer from this point on. Or the Glacial Prisons from this point on. He cannot miss anymore.
Yeah,
He can't afford to at this point.
we saw a
He
few misses in the early game, but he's slowly ramped up and he's become more and more accurate with them as the game's progressed.
Yeah, he's looking for one right now, I'm sure, and it looks like he's gonna posture for it, but I don't think he's gonna go
It's
for it at
actually
this
on
point.
cooldown. He used it in that last fight
It
to
is.
disengage it.
You're right.
Yeah,
I don't have eyes apparently. Um, he was looking
and
to
so
engage, I'm sure, but
he was in posture for it, but he didn't have it, so
yeah.
maybe a little too ambitious. But he will jump in again. He doesn't have ult. He's just going to take a lot of damage. The rest of his team, the impale onto Jungle Milk, and he will die. There's no damage here, and this is the chase down. Gravister getting 2 kills for himself very easily on that Caitlyn.
That
And the
was
siege of this tower begins.
solid by Tomahawk there, finding Jungle Milk on that Lucian. It means the front line is done, gone away, and so that was a really good pick by them. They're going to grab this turret and keep themselves
There's no
even
response.
after that Infernal Drake throw.
Hmm. And so a very solid dragon picked up. Sorry, the first tower mid lane picked up. And it actually looks like they're going to rotate for Baron here. There's still 2 members down for at least 10 seconds on the side of Joe's Harem. And so they burn this very, very quickly. They have the Caitlyn, they have the Cassiopeia. So they should be able to secure this. But it looks like they want to contest 3v5, but there's some members low. This could be very, very big.
Tomahawk
And
does
Baron
grab
will
it
go
up.
down, and there's a taunt onto the Skarner. He's taking a lot of damage, but it looks like the team is split. They're just going to abandon ship and essentially run out. Flash there from Om King Place to get out of that pit.
Yeah, a couple of flashes burned from the Garion and the Skarner there, but other than that, they get the kills, the mid tower and the Baron. That was good for them. That was exactly what they wanted, and to stop them from losing the mid game. That's pretty much what they're trying to do. That's the point of this comp entirely is to not lose the mid game. And because they clearly have late game with Cassiopeia, Caitlyn, they have a front line in Skarner and Garen, they have Lulu to support them. Like it's gonna be extremely difficult for Joe's Harem to get these kills in the late game. The one thing I will give Joe's Harem is that um, Jax is gonna be able to split push against Garen and be able to match him now because he has
Yeah,
Titanic Eye to Triforce. It's
he's
gonna
very,
be
very strong in that side lane.
it's gonna be very hard for Garen to be able to match up to him at this point.
And so while we saw that Om King Plays was pretty dominant in lane, Dot Luminous actually caught up very, very well. He's 2-1-2 as opposed to 1-3-2, and he has caught up in farm as well. The only difference of 5 at 28 minutes is very, very good for what was the deficit of around 30 and 40 in lane.
Yeah, that was entirely on the back of Penguin's Mafia. Penguin's Mafia saw the Garen extended in these lanes and forced him to burn summoner spells or die. And so if he didn't have summoner spells, um,
Then
he
it's very easy to get collapsed on.
exactly. So we'll see here that Penguin's Mafia is kind of the turning point um, in this game.
Yeah, that catalyst for action and the pressure as well, allowing for Dot Luminance here to basically be parked up on this tier 2. But it looks like Team Alvaro doesn't want to let him stay there. They're going to move away from the Inferno Dragon and essentially collapse on Dot Luminance here. But the rest of Joe's Harm is here to follow. There's a counter strike to block that auto attack, but he will flash away as well. Jumps over to Savage Garden, and it looks like just a disengage. A Predator from Tomahawk might want to keep action happening. But, Cheesy here, alone in the middle of 4 members here, will just run away. There's a Glacial Prison onto him, and then the Heroic Entrance as well, onto 4 or 5 members, and they will kill Tomahawk for free. The double taunt, and Epic Chronomaster starts to flash away. King plays in the middle of 5 members, he will die as well. Petrifying Gaze onto 4 is huge, but there's not enough damage from the rest of Team Alvaro, and they will just have to back away for free. There's still a 3v5, and the taunt will not land, and they actually want to keep the chase going, and the Twin Fangs damages a lot. The flash and the everything, the summoner spells burned. The ace in the hole does not do enough damage, and they will just back off here. Cheesy wants to keep something happening, but Team Joe's Harm barely limps away with slivers of health bars, but no one in graves.
Not yet here, but do you see the chase gonna
They might want to keep it happening. It looks like it might just be a free Inferno Drag. A lot of members of Joe's Harm have to reset there, and so should be a free Infernal Dragon for Team Alvaro.
Yeah, you would think, but we see.
Looks like they're actually going to go for the mid lane here. Might want to wait for Tomahawk here to arrive with a smite to be more safe about it, but not as many members of Joe's Harm as they expected. So there's the start right there.
That was an amazing petrifying gaze from Cheesy there. Almost turns the fight completely in their favor. It meant that the fight stopped for Joe's Harem at that point. They had to run. They had to run away. They had to disengage. And the kite and the chase coming out from Cheesy and Grab there.
Oh, Penguin's Mafia here is trying to fight the Cassiopeia. He's alone without support yet, and so he's just going to get run down by the Twin Fangs slow. Tomahawk here will land up that stun. He gets that final hit onto Penguin's Mafia. A bit too overextended, and he falls for free.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a free kill going over onto Team Alvaro there. And so that was a pretty big mistake, but there's no objectives for Penguin's Mafia to contest over, so it's not that big of a deal. He is going to be down for another 20 seconds, so we'll see.
The loss of the primary engage means that they can set up the siege pretty easily with their Gravis or Caitlyn, and I want to see them apply pressure on this tower.
I do. I want to see them try and get these engages off and try and sustain out. Ooh,
oh, he's very far up here. Takes a lot of damage from the Lucian combo. Bit too far without the support of his team, and that means that the siege can't continue.
Yeah, he took 1 or 2 steps forward, a little bit too far. Wasn't able to do as much damage in quick succession as the Lucian does. That's one of Lucian's strengths. Is he does a lot of sustained damage through fights, but his initial burst with the press of the attack is just absolutely massive. He's able to get those quick combos off, deal a couple crits, and kind of melt your face a little bit right at the start, and that's what we saw there. But Grabasser is going to be able to get to the next item or two, and just be able to keep everyone at arm's length, like one of those, like when you're fighting with your little brother and you got your hand on his head,
Yeah, you just
hold
gotta
him
push
away.
him away.
Yeah, and that's.
I actually want to look at Grabasser's items here. He's opting for the Bloodthirster second, or not second, sorry, fourth, as opposed to maybe some more armor pen. What's your opinion on that? There's a lot of tanks, as we talked about, for Team Joe's Harem. And
So,
what do you think about Grabasser's itemization?
he did go for Fleet Footwork, so it's not that big of a deal for him to get that much of a heal. But
Dot Luminance here might be a little counter-strike. He's in the middle of 4 members. He should die here. The Whimsy as well, but he gives a free jump away. He's polymorphed. Grabasser here shows up, and he will get that final hit. A bit too far from Joe's Harem and Dot Luminance.
yeah, that was a little bit too far from Dot Luminance there. But I think that the Bloodthirst isn't the worst idea, but there is so much armor going to be coming out on the side of Joe's Harem, but we don't see a whole lot of it right now, and that's what's important.
Engage from Penguin's Mafia. He's down a member. Yeah, that sustain coming out should be enough, but I'm just worried that he might not do enough damage to go through so much tank stats on the front line from Joe's Harem.
Oh boy.
Oh, the calling here, he dashed in from Jungle Milk. He's taking a lot of damage in return. Penguin's Mafia is here. He throws out the Glacial Prison, and the Miasma forces the disengage. A lot of damage to the traps as well. Penguin's Mafia, Joe's Harem, they want to keep it happening, but without the ults, they're not going to be able to force too hard.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to force that too hard. They each team kind of poked a little bit, and they weren't really willing to fully engage, knowing that the other team can win the fights if they play it right. So neither of them want to commit. They don't want to burn the abilities and mess it up and lose this game. They have to keep in mind, though, this is a best of two, so they have another chance to redeem themselves, but they still don't want to lose games in the long run.
Yeah, the momentum of the first game is very important.
Exactly. But we see here that Team Alvaro is posturing around this
Actually,
Baron.
setting up for this Baron, that with the Kayle and the Cassiopeia we mentioned before, that it melts down very, very quickly. And the setup around it with these traps is going to allow for it to be very, very safe for them to start it up. And a lot of damage, but we can see there that Penguin's Mafia is so tanky. Savage Garden here alone though, and he will get chased down by Cheesy. The Miasma and the Twin Fangs will force a flash over, but the follow from Cheesy is actually in the middle of members here, and then the Impale onto Jungle Milk, and the bot lane dies from Joe's Harem. And then once again, Penguin's Mafia left alone in the rest of Team Alvaro, and he's gonna melt for sure. You have to believe it. Triple kill for Cheesy, and they're gonna get a free Baron here. Forced to send back Om King plays to stop Dot Luminance, but he will actually get that tier 3, whereas Team Alvaro gets this Baron. Looks like he wants to go for that inhibitor as well, and it will fall. Manages to trade that, which is pretty good for Team Joe's Harem.
Yeah, that's the split push power of Jax. Like, he just pushes that lane and goes for it and grabs 2 turrets and an inhib for the lost fight in the Baron. That was like 3 kills and a Baron going over to Team Alvaro there. But Oki Play is just going to chase down Dot Luminance. It's still going to go for it.
He's just running for him. The Counter-Strike is back up and he will be stunned up here. There's still the Q. It's actually timed out, but the Dead Man's Plate runs.
Just going to smack him and walk away. That's all I
that
wanted.
movement speed. Chased him down all the way across the map.
He wanted to send him a message there.
Exactly. Showed his dominance, said that this is my lane.
Yep, but we need to see here how Team Alvaro plays this now. They do have an inhib down in the bot lane, so they're going to have to match that. My suggestion to them would be to match the bot lane with their Baron buff and push that lane. They need to match that. They need to keep that anyway, and that's probably going to be the best way they do it. And they need to send one person top to
basically split the pressure across the map.
Exactly. And so we have no idea. We'll see here how they play this out, but it looks like they're just going to send King Plays down there. He does still have the Baron buff on him, so he'll likely be able to match this. But Elder Dragon has spawned. There are only 3 Drakes that fell in this game, so
it looks like they want to set up for this with their Baron power. And the Cheesy on the side, zoning, doing so much damage with those Twin Fangs. He's chasing down really hard. Penguin's Mafia is here as well. And they want to just zone while they're doing the Elder Dragon for Team Alvaro. 2k now, the calling drops out, the flash in, but Penguin's Mafia does not manage to get the clutch steal, and he will fall to pay for his sins. And on the other side, Dot Luminance here, once again pressured, but King Plays is already there. He's ready.
Yeah, you saw there that the Dragon actually got really close to being taken by Penguin's Mafia there. That was kind of like a hero attempt by him. He understood that they're getting outclassed in this late game with the Cassiopeia and Caitlyn. Cass is putting out so much damage at this point. He's got 2-3 full items now. He's actually going to get a third or a fourth coming through here pretty quickly. He probably has a bit in his pocket that's ready to spend. With that Elder Drake going towards him, they're going to have that burn. They're going to have that damage. They're going to have it. They still have Baron, I think. Yeah.
Yes, they have both buffs here, so they're very, very strong.
They are, but we see here that Skarner has gone bot lane and Garen has gone top lane. They're not ready to commit to a fight yet.
There's only 3. This is potentially really bad for Team Alvaro here. They're very split, dealing with those side waves, so they will just call to back off little. They're uncomfortable with that 3v4 fight in the mid lane. But yeah, on your point about that damage, slight miscue, but on your point about that damage from Team Alvaro, there's definitely a lot of damage coming out from Cheesy and Gravister. So that hybrid damage really forces Team Joe's Harem to build a bit more split resistance as opposed to pure armor or pure magic resist. And then we can see actually the choices there. So there's some more magic resist. For example, for Fabricio, he has both Zanya's and the Abyssal Mask. Can't really specialize in one. He's forced to invest points in both to continue that RPG analogy from before.
Exactly. Oh, we see the engage started
up
here.
Here. There is a back on, and Tomahawk here is a bit too far to get that impale. The Glacial Fissure stops him again, and just the disengage is very good from Joe's Harem. And a few minions will allow him to get a few autos on this tower. Oh, so much damage onto Jungle Mech, and he's too far up the impale, but the Mercurial Scimitar is too late, and he will die regardless. And just too far, gets caught by that impale, and the damage is incredible.
Yeah, that was pretty solid. Jungle Milk going down there. That's the only damage source coming out other than the Jax, and Jax has to split push against this Garen. I think that's the only chance for them to win this game. It's the Jax split pushing. They cannot match a 5v5 at this point. I don't think. The the team fight coming out from the Cheesy and Grab are just
A
gonna be
lot
too
of
strong.
damage coming out of Grab there. There is a a bannered up minion here, but Grab will just eat that for breakfast. The tower's very low, and he will just knock it down. Finally takes that tier 2 tower mid. And so that 500 gold lead from before has actually expanded a fair bit with that Baron and Elder play, and they're leading about 4k gold now in that late game.
Yep. This is not a very big goal lead for 40 minutes into a game, but the team fight prowess of Team Alvaro here is really, really solid. And so they're going to try and pick off Jungle Milk over and over again, but they don't seem to commit very well to taking the base, and there's a lot of wave clear from the side of Joe's Harem. So it's going to be hard for them to take the base if they leave any members up. They have to win a decisive 5-man fight. They can't even leave the Jax up anymore. They have to kill every single person, or the Jax is going to split push them to victory.
I definitely agree with that. And then I actually want to look at the decisions coming out of Team Alvaro here and how they want to apply their pressure, because while they're not up a significant amount of gold, just the innate nature of their champions, I think, lends themselves to a very, very strong late game, as we mentioned, with the Cassiopeia and the Caitlyn. And so I want to see how they move around the map, apply pressure, and essentially manipulate the waves to be able to have opportunities to close out. What do you suggest they do to set up these plays?
Well, you see here, they've already set up the top side to push, or Alvaro has set the top side to push in their favor. It's going to slowly build up in their favor and push out against Joe's Harem. So they're going to have that in their favor. The bot lane, though, Dot Luminous is going to be split pushing, and I think that's something they have to keep in mind always. Garen has to match them. They've lost inhib at this point. They can't get back fast enough. Jack's just going to take it. But the Glacial Prison...
throws out the Glacial Prison by baiting out that trap onto Epic Chronomancer, but he's alone right now in the middle of 4. And Omni King plays looks like he's just running back to stop this base push, because right now Dot Luminous is doing a lot. They're just stopping the backs right now. There's one back completed for King Plays, but it's so late. There's a lot of damage onto this tower. He will get one Nexus tower. He looks like he wants to run away. Grabster on the other side is taking a lot of damage, a bit out of position without the rest of his team to support him. The Tomahawk here gets that stun, and Cheesy wants to make something happen. He will get taunted up, and the Glacial Fissure as well, doing a lot of damage. And Penguin's Mafia here wants to continue that play, but a little disorganized fighting, and not everyone is ready to fully commit on that.
That was a free inhib and Nexus tower for basically nothing. If they had stopped on King Plays' back, they probably could have gotten the other tower too. You saw the split push power there of Dot Luminous' Jax, and I think that's like the only way they win this game at this point, is by playing around that. They don't win a straight up 5v5 fight. They don't win the pick wars. They don't win like anything else except for that split push. And so they have to keep doing that.
What do you do to stop the split push? You start up the Baron, forcing him to rotate here, and they will start up the Flash Torrent into middle of 4 members, so much damage. Cassiopeia instantly melts there, and then everyone is just forced to run away. The Furox entrance will kill King Plays on one side, and then Epic Chronomancer will fall not soon after, and there's only 2 members remaining. Tomahawk extremely low, and they're forced to limp away. Beautiful engage from Fabricio there.
I think Fabricio heard me there, and he's like, alright, I'm going to show this guy what's up. And he just gets a 4-man or a 5-man taunt and just essentially wins the game for his team there. I don't think they're going to... Oh, the Q almost hitting and killing Tomahawk. That would have been hilarious. The
Winds of War and the dash in. Jungle Milk gets that kill.
Fabricio does have teleport. He can just teleport into the base.
There's only 1 member up. Grab is on his own here. And
now.
He went for the GA. He does not have any armor penetration at all, and it's completed build. So all these tank members of Joe's Harem should be able to just walk in, tank it up with that Baron, and then it should be free for them.
I do think this is actually a mistake by Joe's Harem there. They could have ended the game. They could have just all went bot and ended through there instead of going for the Baron, but it was like kind of the natural play. It felt natural for them. It was safer.
Wait, did this Baron... They don't have Baron. Did they get... Yeah, they got it stolen. Yeah, Team Alvaro actually stole that Baron. We didn't notice it, but they actually have it right now on the side of Grab. That is so bad for Joe's Harem there. With that Baron, they could have potentially sieged for the win, but they don't have it, and so the Baron up minions from Grab are going to be
How? How?
they're crazy. Team Alvaro here is oh my goodness,
How'd they get Baron? Wait,
that's crazy.
I'm not this bad, am I? No, like they're.
Yeah, Grab's the only one with the Baron. How did this happen?
Was it
Or
no?
maybe
Was it like a miasma from Cheesy, and then he died, and then they got it? Like,
I think it could have been an auto attack from Grab. It could have been a Q from Grab.
you go ahead. You
Um,
go ahead since you can. Go ahead and look. Go back in the
yeah,
spectator
I'll
and
go
see.
rewind and
So,
check it out.
so here we see that blue side's gonna try and go for this Elder Drake, but the rest of Team Alvaro was there ready to fight for it. And so
I'm looking
we see here
now.
that they're going down. Team Joe's Harem getting the kills, getting the dragon as well. Dot Luminance getting kills.
Okay, that was crazy.
Was it
Grab
the
stole that with a Q.
okay?
Oh,
Wow.
but the fighting here.
Yeah, they fought over the Elder Drake. Joe's Harem got a couple kills there, and they grabbed the Elder Drake. But Cheesy gonna grab a return kill with grab there. God, this game is ridiculous.
That's absolutely crazy. Grab there, getting that Baron, and so they do manage to secure the Elder Dragon on the side of Joe's Harem, but they would very much so enjoy having the Baron and the Elder.
Yeah, they could have done so much with that Baron, but like,
Mhm.
grab MVP.
A beautiful Q coming out of Grab, basically keeping his team in the game right now. And that gold lead we were talking about before has become effectively nothing. This like 900, 1,000 gold difference pretty much means nothing at this point in the game.
Yeah, it's 46 minutes in. We're nearing an hour-long game at this point. We're in for the long haul. Neither of these teams have what they need to commit to these fights, and so
Mhm.
I don't. That Baron.
It's very unfortunate for
I
Joe's Harem there.
they could have. I think they could have just ended the game if they had had that Baron. They could have ended the game without the Baron, to be honest. But they just.
Yeah,
Oh my God. The inhib
the
has
worst
respawned
option
though.
coming out of them.
Yeah, that was the worst case scenario out of Joe's Harem after they won that fight. It was just like a random
Mhm.
KQ coming over the wall. The thing
Yeah.
is, I think Savage Garden was up and he could have blocked it. But anyway, the red
Mhm.
inhib has come up in the bot side, which means Dot Luminance now has a target. He's ready to go. He wants that inhib in the bot lane. He sees it. It's open. He's out for blood, and so he's likely gonna be able to be split pushing down there again. And there's no way Garen can respond to that. He's got this Jax has got all damage items with the Guinsus now and an adaptive helm. He doesn't want
Mhm.
to. He's tired of dying to Cheesy. He's tired of dying in general.
Yeah.
He's just tired of it. And
He
he's
wants to kill them all. He's tanky, but he hurts as well. He does a lot. And so we've talked about how we want to see Joe's Harem split push essentially, leverage that Jackson the side lane and let Dot Luminous do his thing. How do you want Team Alvaro to make things happen across the map? How do you want them to force anything? And basically, because I think that with that team fight prowess, they could still win pretty easily. So how do you want to see them do it?
well, Tomahawk hasn't really been a factor in the last 20 minutes of this game. He's just kind of been a crab walking around the rift, and that's about it.
Mhm.
He needs to show that he can get onto Jungle Milk and kill him, or get onto Dot Luminance and kill him, and put Dot Luminance into his team so that they can burst him down. The problem with that's going to be that Dot Luminance has that counter strike up, and is probably going to be able to use that. But if he can just grab Jungle Milk, it's just the same. He just needs to turn the numbers advantage into his team, and trade and do what Skarner was built to do in the late game and pick someone off. He's got the Predator, he's got movement speed, he's got tier 2 boots, he's ready to go, but he hasn't done it. He hasn't pulled the trigger, he hasn't gone for it. Honestly, even if he grabs one of the tanks and they kill him, that's still worth, because it means a man advantage, it means a numbers advantage, it means that they're going to be able to get those advantages in the team fights, and that's what they need.
Yeah. On the point of Tomahawk, actually, if Jungle Milk wastes his QSS, then it's probably a free kill. But Dot Luminous doesn't have a QSS, so maybe they can just rotate on him. Potentially, if they land that Impale onto him, he should die very, very quickly. Despite having that Abyssal Mask, sorry, the Adaptive Helm, the Sterix Gauge, the Titanic, he dies pretty quickly to the rest of Team Alvaro here. I would say.
Yeah, I would say so too. He doesn't have any armor. That's a pretty big thing. So he's not going to be able to. He's not able to stand up to King plays and grab as easily. Oh,
Oh,
is he
he
here?
impaled there onto Penguin's Mafia. He's dragged into the middle of the tower, but he's just so tanky. You're taking up 4 members, but he finally falls. The Glacial Fissure burned as well. And so the impaled there, used very well from Tomahawk, managed to get a snag onto Penguin's Mafia, giving them 60 seconds of free time.
Yeah, and that's the man advantage I was talking about. Now they can push down these lanes and try and push for even more of an advantage. That is going to be the Sejuani giving another kill. And now I will point out that Pinkman's Mafia and Tomahawk's scorelines are pretty much the same. A couple more assists going over to Pinkman's Mafia
Yeah.
there, but other than that,
Essentially the same. And I actually want to point out about that last kill onto Penguin's Mafia. It took so long for Focus Fire from Grab and Cheesy to burn him down. He had a chance of living there at the end, perhaps. And
yeah.
I think this can be attributed to the fact that Grab still has no armor penetration. I think this is a missight from him. What do you think? Oh, they're starting up the Baron here.
Yep.
And they melt this so incredibly quickly with the Cassio and the Caitlyn. There's no contesting that. Free Baron for Team Alvaro.
That Baron was done for as soon as it spawned. So I will say that Caitlyn's probably going to keep her GA until it pops and sell it for a armor pen item. That's what I theorized she's going to do, but she needs to get armor pen. That Sejuani took so long for her to kill, and almost got out, and she wasn't even full build yet. The Sejuani was not at full items. She's still going for a Thorn Mail, and she's going for something else too, either a Spirit Visage or an Adaptive Helm. She's not at full items yet. She still has a way to go. Grab is at full items at this point. That's what you see. That's what you're gonna get for the rest of the game for Caitlyn. Except maybe getting armor pen, and that's what she needs to get. She needs to grab that up. And she is doing a lot of damage with those crits. That was a 1500 damage crit onto that banner minion, but that's not enough. You need to burn through these armor tanks. Like
There are 3, essentially 2.5 full tanks to the side of Joe's Harem here. So if you don't have that consistent damage come out of your long range carry, who do you expect to do it? Cheesy can't do it enough to make up for those tanks.
Yep, but we see down the bot lane that King plays and Luminous kind of battling it out. Neither of them really have a major advantage in this lane. King plays guys take more damage and like the I'm gonna use my abilities and sit on your face versus I'm gonna use my abilities and sit on your face. But he does have that Garen passive where he just regens so much HP out of combat.
Yeah, so these small trades are definitely favoring him, and then the siege is starting here mid lane. The traps go down. One actually catches him, taking so much damage in that shot and forces out the Glacial Prison there. And so 2 more hits from Grabster could have won that game right there. Luminous actually forced to pop the ult by King plays going under tower. And it looks like they're just going to set up again. These traps, put them down, rinse, repeat. If Jungle Milk's just going to step onto them for free, just keep it happening.
Yeah, Jungle Milk making a big mistake there and almost giving up his life and the game for that tower, but they are going to grab this up, force Joe's Harem off of it, and grab that inhib up as well. Cheesy really low though.
There, taking a lot of damage. Oh, the impale onto Penguin Mafia again, but he flashed out pretty much at full health. Jungle Milk there, he can't go in too far. Petrifying Gaze, the heroic entrance is big onto Tomahawk, and it looks like he will just run away for free. Petrifying Gaze there onto 3 members. Jungle Milk is CC'd, and he's forced to run away. Fabricio dies to the Caitlyn in the back. Grabster setting up these traps, doing a lot of damage. 1 under Jungle Milk here, and he will fall for sure. Triple kill for him. 3 for 0. And it looks like they're just going to walk in and end the game with that Baron they have.
That is going to be game for Team Alvaro there. They get the picks, they find them. That is going to be a win going over to Team Alvaro. Yeah. The next is going down.
53-minute game. Incredible play from all of Team Alvaro. Very, very close. Nice attempts. There were sparks of life that definitely showed from Joe's Harem. But in the end, it just wasn't enough. And Team Alvaro coming around with that long but well-deserved win.
That was a well-deserved win for Team Alvaro there, but we will see a game to a side swap. We'll see if Joe's Harem can get retribution for that loss and tie it up and then call it a day, or if Team Alvaro can sweep them. You ready for it, Denna?
Absolutely.
All right, we will send it off to a break for a few minutes while we get that game ready and prepared, but we'll see you guys in a few.
Hello.
Look to the sky, out to the stars. Believe what you find, no matter where you are. You can go on and make this world a better world. Days come and gone, feeling undone, shattered and torn. How will we belong again? We stand in line and we amend for a better time. losing my mind. Can't take the pressure, won't leave you behind.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We are here with our second show match of the day between Team Alvaro and Team Joe's Harem. How are you today? I'm joined by Meowing Cat.
Hey guys, I'm Lol Meowing Cat, and I'm gonna be hopping in. Thank you, Penguin, for the first game. God bless, Production King.
And so, just a reminder to everyone watching that the draft has already been done in a tool called Pro Draft. So while the bans and picks might look kind of weird, please know that it's already been completely done already.
Yeah, so we're not gonna see some kind of funky first pick Nasus or anything like that. That's if you see some kind of top lane pick, it probably wasn't picked first, as that actually will happen this game. There's gonna be top lane picked up. It was picked last in the pro draft, so they're not blind picking this champion. It's not some kind of madness.
They're not blind picks, and also the bans later are more top lane focused. So we know exactly what's going to go down in the draft phase, but to all you guys watching at home, this is completely new. So we're going to see the first top lane pick coming out of Team Alvaro here on the blue side, and it's just looking for the champion, I'm pretty sure. But how are you feeling for this cast? Are you excited?
Yeah, so I was on the sidelines watching the first game, and Joe's Harem, they really seemed like they had that kind of early game comp where they can smash in that early to mid game. But if you're playing Lucian against Caitlyn Lulu, you need to end that game early, because the longer it goes on, the worse it's going to get. And when it made it to 53 minutes, you just know that that game is over and
It's
that
a bit
Alvaro is
too
going to be
late
picking
in
up
the
that
game.
win.
Yeah. But looking at the actual lineups here, we have Malphite into Yorick in the top side. So these were the top lane picks we were talking about. And so this very, very tanky Malphite, this team fight monster, versus this more lane dominant pseudo Nasus split push on the side of Yorick. What's your opinion on this matchup here?
Yeah, so the thing about Yorick is that he's a little more consistent than Nasus. He's not as feast or famine, where Nasus, you keep stacking, and then you can actually snowball and then just murder champions down. Yorick is much more split push oriented, but he doesn't require nearly as much resources to do so, and even from behind, he can still take down towers extremely fast. So that's kind of, it's like a more consistent version of Nasus. However, I do think that his team fighting is a little bit weak, except for the fact that he has some kind of hard CC with that wall that he provides.
Yeah, the wall, and then he also has a long range slow that kind of draws the ghouls towards the person that it hits. And then for the jungle, there's the Skarner once again picked up for Tomahawk. We saw him do a lot of work with it last game, getting those clutch impales, securing those picks in the early mid game. And he's actually going to go against a Nunu. And now there's actually a Vayne versus a Kai'Sa in the bot side. So jumping over some of the matchups, what's your opinion on these teams?
Yeah, so Jungle Mode picking up the Kai'Sa here. Last game he played the Lucian. This definitely fits his kind of aggro playstyle where he wants to go in. I really do like the Galio Kai'Sa because it allows Kai'Sa to just kind of jump into the enemy team. If she hits a W, she can go right in, get that Galio ulti, and as long as her other tanks aren't too far behind, they can just hop in with her, and she'll get that damage reduction so she won't get blown up. And another thing, with the Skarner pick, you have a Galio on the other side. If you ulti anybody into your team, that Galio can just immediately ulti them as soon as they start taking damage, and probably nullify that pick potential. So there's a lot of anti-pick, especially with 4 tanks on the side.
Yeah, for
Joe's
Team
Harem.
Alvaro. Oh no, Joe's Harem. Yes, they've switched sides now. And so we actually have the Nunu and the Alistar as well. So very, very tanky front line, a lot of potential for engage. Whereas we have a Vel'Koz, a Lulu that we haven't talked about yet for Team Alvaro here on the blue team.
Yeah, so the bot lane for Alvaro is a bit interesting. The Lulu Vayne, it kind of does what they did last game, except it's a little more aggressive in positioning, right? Caitlyn versus Vayne, they have very high damage output, obviously, for AD carries. Vayne, much shorter range, but higher damage output, so it's a little more risky. But against that that quadruple tank team, if she can get those silver bolt procs off, she'll just be destroying their health bars, especially with Lulu giving her free stats.
Exactly, and the peel that she gets, and then the team fight potential from the Malphite and the Vel'Koz is definitely very, very scary. especially for such short range ADCs like Kaisa, and on the other side, Vayne as well.
Yeah. And I mean, if you can lock down that Kaisa, Vayne is still going to be dealing true damage to her with the Silver Bolts. So even with that damage reduction from the Galio ulti, she's going to be taking extra damage. And if you blow that Kaisa up with the Vel'Koz true damage, with the Vayne true damage, you know, even just a Malphite ulti to keep her in place is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so once that Kaisa is dead, you've just got 4 tanks who have nothing to back them up at all.
A very
And
similar
so-
team comp to last game as well.
Yeah, and so if you can take her out, this team will just fall apart. And it seems very easy to do with all the true damage to bypass that Galio ulti and a Malphite Skarner to kind of just lock her down.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. And so, in regards to that, actually, how do you want to see the Kaisa more orient? Because there's been a lot of debate about the builds. She's been out for a couple patches. But the overall game plan of each team, what's your opinion?
Yeah, so Kaisa can build whatever she wants. She is just a very strong champion right now. You
Mhm.
could literally build like Black Cleaver, Runons, I don't know, slap on what do you want. Pick an item.
Pretty much any item, essentially.
Wrecker, there you go. Broken Kaisa.
Absolutely. Anything can work.
Yeah.
And then with the team, the very, very tanky front line that she has a potential to go very, very big. And so, very similar to last game, actually, with the Lucian, the Kaisa as well, with the 4 tanks. A lot riding on Jungle Milk here.
Yeah, I do like the I kind of want to see a Kaisa build that involves some form of AP. I want to see a little bit of AP at the very least, and just enough to get that W unlocked.
Yes.
And I want to see a Runon's Hurricane come out because Runon's will allow her to AoE focus down targets. And with this kind of composition, Vayne, not too long range, means that she should be able to get hit by autos of the Kaisa. And if you have Runon's Bolt, you're also going to be shredding down those tanks with the passive. So I'd like to see that come out from the Kaisa.
Yes.
I also think that AP with the Nunu giving her free AP if she gets some just seems like free stats. Free stats are always good. So I think
Exactly.
going for a Nashor's Tooth this game as well as
Yeah.
a Guinsoo's would be really nice for her.
That sort of hybrid build that has been pretty popular. And so while waiting for the spectator delay and we're loading in, we're just going to pop over to a loading screen with some music. And don't touch those browsers. We'll be right back.
You've been far away. What have you got to say? My heart is on display, but I'm not afraid. Yeah, I'm not afraid. Why you been getting busy? I've been getting dizzy, trying not to keep you in mind. Now I'm 35, certainly in time.
We are back on the Rift for the second game of this best of 2 show match between Team Alvaro and Team Joe's Harem. Introducing blue side, we have King plays on that Malphite. Tomahawk once again to that Skarner with Predator again going very, very fast. Cheesy switching from the Casio now onto Vel'Koz. And then bot lane we have Epic Chronomancer supporting his ADC Vayne. Grab back.
Yeah, and switching over from Team Alvaro, on the red side, we have Joe's Harem with Dot Luminance in the top lane, Penguin's Mafia on that jungle pick, Fabricio on that mid lane, R7 Jungle Milk on AD carry, and Savage Garden on support.
And so with these teams loaded in, once again, Cheesy has opted for that cleanse, continuing to maintain that from the last game where he brought it on Casio as well. It stops the taunt coming out of Fabricio, but now there's no Glacial Prison coming out of the Sejuani that was there before, but is now a Nunu. Do you think that was still the right choice, or what do you think Cheesy should have opted for?
Yeah, I'm a greedy player, and I don't really tend to like the cleanse too much. But against a Galio, there's only really that Galio taunt, and so it doesn't seem that impactful to have the cleanse because it's pretty easy to avoid anyways. You know, if he's
Yeah.
close to you, you have to walk away. If he has flash up, you need to flash away. If he flashes on you, so I
Yeah.
don't think he really needed it that badly, and I would have liked to see just a heal or something just to keep him safe.
Yeah, a heal or a barrier, something more defensive, because there's really not much for that cleanse to hit.
Yeah,
Pretty standard starts for jungle. Go ahead, sorry.
yeah, heal also has that kind of all-around utility where if your jungler's invading, you can run in there, heal him, get him out, right? If he's about to die. So it kind of helps your teammates as well. It also has that move speed buff, which against a Yorick Galio, the move speed is really nice because it'll get you out
Absolutely.
of that situation where you're going to get taunted anyways.
Yes, definitely agree with that. And then in regards to each individual lanes, so we have the Yorick against the Malphite, and then the Vel'Koz into Galio, and then bot lane, the Kaisa Alistar versus the Vayne Lulu. So just going, top down, level 2 here, but just going from top down, maybe, what do you want each lane to do, or how do you think each lane should play out?
Yeah, so obviously we have the Yorick versus Malphite, which doesn't seem like too interesting of a lane if you think about it. Tank versus split pusher, very kind of resident sleeper, but you have the Malphite that was actually buffed recently. He got AP ratio on his E, he got ulti cooldown in later levels, and then he got base AD per level. So it's going to be interesting to see what this Malphite builds because there's a lot of different builds that Malphite can go. He can just go kind of straight tank. He can go for a Triforce Malphite, or he could also go for a kind of AP off-tank Malphite. I don't think he's gonna go full AP. That's a little too crazy for me. But
Yeah, I
an
would.
off-tank AP, I think, does have some merit in this game.
Yeah, definitely. And then.
And so with
The
Tomahawk,
gank here, Tomahawk here might want to make something happen, but the wall put up should be a-okay.
yeah, and that is another thing. In this early game, Malphite has no way out of that wall except just smacking it down. And so if Dot Luminance can land that that Dark Procession onto the Malphite, he literally can't do anything. And so you just kind of have to sit there, auto that wall for a few seconds, which, I mean, if
It's free
Nunu is
damage.
already level 6, you have that
Yeah.
absolute 0. And
That's
at that point, Malphite will be 6. He can just unstoppable force out. But, you know, trading Malphite ult for a Nunu ult isn't that bad.
Yeah, either unstoppable force out or your health is absolutely 0. And then, so pretty boring lane top side. In regards to mid, I think it's pretty much the same thing. We have the Galio, the Vel'Koz, two very split push, not split push, wave clear heavy champions. So I would say much of the same there.
You know, something we kind of skimmed over is a jungle matchup. You see Nunu invading here,
Oh yes.
being spotted out, but does get the Raptor successfully. And so if he can keep doing this, just denying Skarner farm, there's already a slight gold lead in favor of the jungle pick. And you see, these teams, there's actually a gold lead for Joe's Harem over Team Alvaro. So if they can kind of shut down this Skarner pick, make him under-leveled, get him to level 6 way later than he should be, that's actually huge because level 6 Skarner ganks are obviously very powerful.
Very scary.
Yeah, and so shutting them down and stalling them out, delaying it by another 1-2 minutes is a very big deal and can kind of slow the tempo of this game down a lot, which allows Kaisa to get her items, and once Kaisa gets her items, then you'll be just destroying team fights.
Especially with that front line she has.
Yeah, and I think it is a bit interesting to point out how these bot lanes scale, because I think Kaisa will reach a power spike around 3 items, and so will Vayne, but Kaisa at 3 items I think will be stronger than Vayne at 3 items. Obviously, Vayne will still outscale and just kind of blow up Kaisa immediately if Kaisa isn't amazingly ahead of her. But
Yeah.
at that 3-item point, if they're both 3 items, I do think there is an advantage for Jungle Milk, especially with the Galio ulti.
I think it all depends on the speed at which they reach these points. So, for example, if Grab gets his early items and he's able to apply pressure with maybe a Bork depending on his build, or the IE for example, then earlier than maybe a Rage Blade from Jungle Milk, then you can definitely apply that pressure with the lead. But it's all about the context of the situation, I would say, in regards to how quickly these ADCs spike, and then their surroundings as well. But
Yeah.
back to that point he's mentioned about the jungle, in regards to the Skarner, if he's put behind too much, then he can't really afford to go in and get that impale on anyone because he'll get CC'd. If he's too squishy, he can't really go in and go for the ult because he'll just die, in my opinion. So potentially Nunu might be able to slow him down enough, as you were talking about before. But a Whimsy here onto Jungle Milk here. He's condemned into the wall in the bush as well. The combo coming out of Savage Garden forced the flash out of Epic Chronomancer. The Ignite is taking him down, but he does fall in the end to Savage Garden. First blood to that Alistar in the bot lane.
Yeah, Grabbacker on that Vayne, seeing his Lulu getting engaged on, using the heal after the Ignite comes out, and that's actually going to cost Epic Chronomancer his life. So always heal before Ignite, guys. Healing early is not bad. And that is the exact reason why. That would have meant life or death for that Lulu.
Exactly. Just
And-
the last couple ticks.
Yeah, and now with that Lulu down in the bot lane, it opens up Penguin's Mafia to get a Drake safely with that numbers advantage. So, kind of, because of that one little thing from Grabbacker, you kind of have the snowball effect where it opens up a safe Cloud Drake for the Nunu, which he obviously would have easily done anyways, but it just
Yeah.
makes it that much more safe for him.
The help there and the security it provides is very significant.
Yeah, and now you have an Alistar that actually has a lead. And so if Alistar falls behind, it's kind of very painful for him because he wants to be ahead so he can just engage in the level advantage, giving him extra damage, the item advantage, meaning that he has more survivability so he can kind of just keep on taking these engages.
Yeah.
And so if Alistar falls behind in the curve, you just kind of push him in, he just kind of gets poked out, and then just, he's left to
Can't
just
do much.
force engages.
There's the Dark Procession there and free smack from Dot Luminant. But in the regards for that bot lane that you were talking about, the early advantage they have allows them to be more aggressive. Like if you headbutt Pulverize onto the Vayne or the Lulu with the Kaisa follow-up, it's very, very easy, I would say, to end up with the kill. Especially with that lead that they've accumulated.
Yeah.
And so, what do you want to see? How would you react if you were Penguins Mafia here in regards to the jungle? Do you continue with that earlier game plan of controlling the Skarner and slowing him down? Or do you want to snowball the bot lane even further and maybe apply pressure there on an already weak point? Or maybe something else?
Yeah, well, the thing about Nunu is that he has probably the worst jungle ganks in League of Legends. I mean, I can't think of a jungler who has worse ganks than him. Everyone provides either a lot of damage output or a lot of utility, and they're
Unstoppable Force there. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Forced to ult away because of that Dark Procession.
Oh, and that just feels so bad. The ulti cooldown change only kicks in later levels, and so right now this is just the same level 1 Malphite ulti, same 130 seconds, and it'll be back up in 2 minutes, which is quite a long time. And I mean, look at this. Yeah, this Malphite is having a horrible time. Down 45 to 70 CS.
Yeah,
with,
that full 25 CS difference, and then the item difference.
Yeah, I also want to point out the itemization from the Malphite, going for an Aegis of the Legion.
Big Nunu gank here. He's forced to flash out of that Dark Procession, and they will just summon the Maid in the Mist and try to knock down this tower.
Yeah, and that Yorick W is just so impactful, forcing out the ultimate. Next one lands, forces out the flash, and actually looking for the dive here.
Looking for this dive here, he's just hitting him. Might get minion block, taking a lot of tower damage, and doesn't quite have the damage to kill him just yet.
Yeah, a little bit aggressive. If Penguins Mafia actually stuck around and went around the backside, which could
flash
happen.
there. There's an engagement here from Tomahawk Botley, and then the condemn is actually countered by that headbutt, and he still wants to get that impale, but will not opt for any of them and just back off there.
Yeah, R7 Jungle Milk flashes to safety. Tomahawk could have flash ultied the Kaisa, which would have been very good considering she already used her flash. So then, she's pretty tough battle luck. Not using the ultimate on the Alistar was pretty smart though, considering he does have the unbreakable will, so he could just kind of cleanse that off with his
Oh,
ulti.
absolutely, yes.
Oh.
Oh, it looks like there's a lot of true damage here onto mid lane, forcing the flash out of Fabricio. But
Yeah,
maybe a bit more conservative with the summoner spells you were talking about in regards for Tomahawk. You can always come back later.
Yeah, and so you definitely will want to see some kind of repeat gank on that Kai'Sa without the flash. The problem is Kai'Sa has a very good turning potential, especially with Galio ulti. And so
Yeah.
at that point, because Cheesy had a very good mid lane pressure onto Fabricio, you knew that it was safe to do that. And so that was a very good opportunity to take it. Now, the next time he comes bot lane, if Galio isn't being pressured mid lane by that Vel'Koz again, you might have a situation where Galio ults in and just completely turns the tide, and then you have a Kai'Sa who's Giga fed.
Exactly. And then, however, repercussions for his actions bot lane. He showed himself bot lane. He tried to make something happen, which opens up that Rift Herald, and Penguins Mafia able to secure that over for Luminous. So that split push we were talking about, even stronger now with that Rift Herald. And there's the repeat game we were talking about. Tomahawk there wants to make something happen, but the wave's just not in the proper position.
Yeah, and the thing about Kai'Sa Alistar is that even under their tower, it's very hard to tower dive an Alistar because of that unbreakable will, that damage reduction, and the Kai'Sa, she has a lot of survivability too. With her
Yeah.
killer instinct, that shield is actually pretty sizable, and so
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very,
even
very
very-
risky to dive that.
yeah, early on they aren't gonna have too much damage, but if you disrespect them and tower dive or take a 3v3, it will be a very bad situation for you, as they can just buy time for their team to come in. And with the Galio, he will not take too long to come in, and then
Yeah,
it's
the
just...
rotation from the heroic entrance is very, very fast. I actually want to draw your attention to something in regards to the top lane. I think you were referring to it earlier, but the itemization. King has actually opted for a very early, full completed banner. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so we kind of saw this happening when we saw that Aegis pick up. You know, it's either that or a Locket, and Locket, with its changes, makes it a little better in the early game for tanks, but not so much that you're going to want to rush it on Malphite.
Yeah.
And so the banner of command here, I don't really like that at all, because Yorick is primarily
engage here
physical
onto Cheesy
damage.
Stick. Flash still in the taunt though, and he's taking a lot of damage from the Winds of War. Penguins Mafia and Fabricio want to chase him down. Tomahawk here is here, and the knockup onto the cancels the absolute zero, and in return he drops down the ult. The heroic entrance will allow them to disengage safely, and they want to keep it going. The Winds of War does manage to snipe Cheesy, and he will fall.
Yeah, Cheesy a bit mispositioned there, and let's see what summoner he still has on cooldown. The Cleanse. Oh yeah, because it had very little value for him there. Because it
Yeah.
only works for the Galio W, which didn't really matter.
And he
for
also
him.
did not choose to cleanse that
That's-
Galio taunt.
Yeah, and I mean, he could have just walked away as well. After that engage kind of happened, he was like, okay, I'm not going to get any kills. Kind of should have just left. One, if he had heal there, he would have lived. Two, if he just walked away, he would have lived. And so, a bit questionable in that mid lane for
Yeah,
the double
he
cheesy.
opts for he opts for the greedy play of going for that ult, trying to get a return kill to punish because of the appearance of Tomahawk, but Tomahawk didn't use the impale on anyone, allowing Penguins Mafia to flash away to safety in the heroic entrance, providing that damage reduction, stopping any chance of that play. And actually results in a positive for Team Joe's Harem.
Yeah, and we do see the banner minions being a little bit disruptive for Dot Luminance. It
Yeah, very
will actually
annoying.
slow down this push a little bit, but Yorick, once he gets that Triforce, should be smacking these minions down pretty quickly. I don't think it's a great pick against the Yorick. However, if you could put it in a side lane where the Galio should be at, he's not going to be able to clear it at all. And so in the mid to late game, the usage of this banner will matter a lot. However, I don't think it needed to be rushed for a side.
Yeah, I don't think, like, while it is annoying for Yorick to smack it down, there's not really much else he's going to do. So while it's a mild inconvenience, I don't think it's necessarily worth it. And I want to backtrack a little bit in regards for how Penguins Mafia is actually very, very well analyzing how he can go for these objectives. Every time he sees Tomahawk sort of overextend and try to make a play happen, he responds by securing like a dragon or a Rift Herald, and he's actually brought the dragon count up to 2 now
Yeah.
because of that last play.
And to keep on the objectives, we actually have the Rift Herald used in the top lane. That's going to pick up a tower.
And then
And-
Dot Luminance here wants to chase him down.
Yeah, we do see, however, Cheesy coming up on the side.
Oh, there is an unstoppable force, and he will land it here. There is a miss, but the Valkos all manages to burn him down. And then on the other side of the map, Hyper Chronomancer and Tomahawk want to make something happen, but the Unbreakable will manage to keep him safe. Penguins Mafia is here as well. Gravister wants to make something happen, doing a lot of damage. The Absolute Zero providing a zoning field, and Tomahawk just melts to everyone. And so on the other side, Fabricio here gets the flash on onto 2 members. Jungle Milk ults in, and they want to keep this dive going, but there's just not enough damage to finish out any of the 2 kills there.
Yeah,
Resulting in just the tower.
And that's exactly what we were talking about, how Alistar and Kai'Sa have that survivability. They just, you know, buy some time, use that Unbreakable Will, and then you have the Nunu and the Galio rotate down, and Galio didn't even have his ultimate up, but it didn't matter. He just waddled over into that lane. You got these giant Nunu and Galios just looking at you, waddling at you at 2 miles per hour, and just smacking you down because you've overcommitted for that Alistar, and you can't commit for an Alistar. You just can't.
Yeah, especially when he hasn't used that ultimate. The Unbreakable Will is essentially the get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Very well. Good reactions coming out of Joe's Mafia there. And they're just running. Penguins Mafia is just in the middle of 2 members here. Wants to take some camps, but I think he's going to pay for it with his life. Taking a lot of damage, and he's just walking out, but Cheesy managed to land that Q and just punishes an overextended Nunu there.
Yeah, Penguins Mafia was looking pretty good before that, and then just kind of made a slip up. He's got to remember, he rushed the first item locket. It is nice to have that locket to save his teammates, right? He can just waddle into a lane, pop that, you know, W, get that Guardian on them, and then once he's closer to them, he can get that locket. But he's going to have a lot less combat stats until he finishes the Cinder Hulk, which he just picked up. And so he's significantly weaker than the Skarner, who just rushed Ninja Tabby Warrior. Skarner does have that combat stats.
Got Luminance here in the middle of 3 members, the Unstoppable Force as well, and there's everyone here. The Impale drags him out of some of the Cheesy's abilities, but Om King Plays will secure that last kill after some ultimates have been 3 ults there used for Dot Luminous to pick him off.
Yeah, it's still obviously nice to get that kill, but oh, Kaisal coming
on the other side of the map, 3 members show top, and this is what you do. You go in on the bot side here, and the Galio here with the heroic entrance wants to make something and grab. On the other side, in the middle of 2 members trying to make a hero play, but the good reactions manages to make an easy 2-for-0.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about. The Kaisa ults into the Galio ult, where she can ulti forward, get positioned in the middle of your team, and then the Galio ult is just basically guaranteed unless you just scramble for your life. I do think that R7 Jungle Milk ulted a little bit short, where he could have went a little bit deeper for a kind of safer, guaranteed Galio ulti, but it still does work out, and the idea and execution were good enough that it does work. And so, good play and good coordination from the side of Joe's Harem.
Yeah, very good responses coming out of them. Recognizing that when something happens, there's always a weaker side of the map you can exploit. And here's what we're talking about, another use of the Unstoppable Force as an escape.
Yeah, that feels bad, but it doesn't matter if they can
you're
get
on Savage Garden here, taking a lot of damage. He's very, very low. He's chased down by Tomahawk, but he's so squishy, and he will get finally burned down by the Vel'Koz. And then they want to keep it happening, but Galio's here to respond.
Yeah, and
let's look at R7 Jungle Milk's build. He's opting more for a crit build as typical ADC, as opposed to what you were advising, more of like a AP hybrid build with like a Rage Blade or a Nashers, which I was frankly expecting as well.
Yeah, I don't really like this pickup from R7 Jungle Milk. I don't think it's... The thing about Kaisa is she has AP ratios. She has this very different kit where she likes cooldown reduction a lot. She likes all these different kinds of stats, and if you're building a standard crit ADC, how does it help her any more than it helps ADC?
Condemn onto Penguins Mafia here. He's in the middle of 3 members again, a bit too far, and this time he's forced to flash away. But returning to that point about the Kaisa, she will get the Q evolve very early. She will get the E evolve, but basically giving up on part of her damage, I think, might be a mistake.
Yeah, especially with the Nunu. You get free AP. So if you go for that kind of hybrid build, you're going to get those
Engage onto mid lane. Dot Luminous is here onto, and Fabricio forced to flash away by Cheesy. The cleanse coming into use there as he manages to cleanse away a taunt.
Yeah, the cleanse does allow him to misplay a little bit for those Galio taunts, but I still am not completely sold on the picket of the summoner. However, it is what it is. It's not going to be changing as he doesn't have a summoner spellbook.
Well, the unsealed spellbook, yeah. And so this allows for Team Joe's Harem to actually go for this Wind Dragon. And Tomahawk actually popped the blast gun. He wants to make something happen. Penguins Mafia here in the middle of 4 members, and he will fall. Wants to get that dragon, but left at 8 HP, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's just such a feels bad. It was 8 HP away. He could have literally popped his ulti, and while they killed him, his ultimate would have picked it up. That's how close it was. He could have just like got another tick of his Cinder Hulk
Look
on
at
it. I mean, it was so close to dying.
Ooh, nice cancel. Oh, wants to make something out of him. Oh, no flash there from Fabricio. That could have been a 4 or 5 man, but doesn't have the rest of his team and opts to be a bit more conservative.
Also, I'm not mistaken. Penguins Mafia didn't actually use the locket there.
Oh, that's a feels bad.
If he used that locket, he definitely would have bought enough time that he could have securely gotten that Drake. And so that's just a little bit of miscomfort again and misplays from Penguins Mafia.
Oh. 3 here on Dot Luminance. He's taking a lot of damage, but he summons the main and he flashes away from the Unstoppable Force. Well played. Epic Chronomancer wants to follow him back, and they're going to keep chasing. He's slowed up. He is exhaust, and R7 Jungle Milk is low as well. Maybe they get multiple, but he will be okay. Beautiful play coming out of Dot Luminance. He wants to actually go aggressive here. He's chasing him down. Penguins Mafia's here. Kaisa's on her way. She just needs a bit of CC, but they will just walk out of the Dark Procession. No problem.
Yeah, the thing about this new Yorick is that they don't have any hard CC to allow for the Kaisa ulti. So it's all dependent on that Galio or the Alistar. You can't get any kind of ulti procs or from the new Yorick, which is a little sucky, but you still have the Galio and the Alistar, which are so good at doing that, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Plus
they
her
provide that
W.
well. Absolutely.
But I Penguins Mafia there made a tiny bit of a slip up when R7 Jungle Milk was out of combat and out of the fight, using the locket while just walking past him.
Oh man.
That's why it's on cooldown. It's a little bit questionable because if he still kept it, you know, R7 Jungle Milk could then keep walking with him, and then he could pop that locket as soon as R7 hits a W. R7 could then ulti in and would have a sizable shield, in which case he can just kind of go in, hopefully burst on a target or two. It would be better if you went for the a Death Stance build. Death Stance Kaisa has so much sustain with that Q. I think that if R7 Jungle Milk went for that build, that play would have 100% worked out, and it would have been a very good play. But sadly,
Over
due
here,
to
Dot
itemization.
Luminance is just ramming down this tower. Yeah, absolutely. Due to these itemization, he's just unable to do as much as he wants to. He will get this tower, but most likely will pay for it with his life. There's no Unstoppable Force because he had to escape with it. Oh my god, that Q damage onto grab. So much damage.
Yeah, and that's Triforce for you. I mean, he's going to be dealing a lot of damage. That's why this Banner of Command doesn't have as much value into him.
Whimsy on Alio there. Force them off of the tower. But they actually look like they want to make something happen. There's no Unstoppable Force, so the Malphite just kind of runs at them. The Absolute Zero is dropped and he will slow them, but slows don't keep you alive, and he will fall.
Yeah, and now one look at this top tower. This top tower is taking a lot of damage, and there are so many minions just dying up there. That is just gold going to waste for the side of Joe's Harem. And now
Joe's
with
Harem's
the
on the
Baron
right. It's
stepping
Team Alvaro here. Team Alvaro going for the Baron. Oh yes, definitely. There is a lot of money lost. And then, so while they're rotating for that top wave, there's a free Baron for Team Alvaro.
up, and Kaisa W not even gonna touch it. She's not even gonna leash them the Baron. Bad leash.
Bad Kaisa, not helping the enemy team, but they will get that free Baron for Team Alvaro. And so, what do you want to see them do? What is the optimal play? Like, what's the best case
so
scenario
they-
with this Baron?
They obviously do have that Banner of Command, and so they could either go into a side lane and then have that Galio, or sorry, have that have the Malphite.
Yeah.
Just kind of banner up, protect that. I do think that they are gonna want to kind of group together. It looks to be the bot side of the map where they should be putting their attention, as there is a Drake up in 2 minutes, so they want to be playing around there. They can actually just drop the banner and then have Malphite rotate up to the rest to the top side to stop the Yorick split push. I do think that the banner should be with the team because the team can protect it the most, and if Malphite uses it in a side lane, Yorick will just eventually kill it. However, it will take a very long time since it is a Baron minion.
Yeah, and then also if you put Malphite in the side lane with the Baron and the Banner, you don't have that Unstoppable Force. Why would you pick Malphite if you'd rather have someone else in the side lane?
Yeah, he does have TP, so he can just kind of split push and then TP in, but he needs to be matching the Yorick split push. because the Yorick's push is definitely a lot more potent, and you just even without the Baron buff, even with Baron buff pushing against him, he will still out split push you your Malphite, and so you can't just let him push for free. But
It will
so
trade
far,
tier 1 bot for tier 1 mid, so pretty good.
well,
For
pretty
the side
good
of Joe's
for
Harem.
yeah. That's not something you want to be doing with Baron. Trading towers, you know, it opens up the map. That mid tower was obviously already very low, so it was gonna eventually be picked up after
Yeah,
this
so
Baron
is the
probably
bot
would
tower.
have.
And King plays here, maybe a bit too long, overstay, and R7 Jungle Milk wants to make something happen. The Unstoppable Force away from the Kai'Sa W, so that's a big team fight all gone. And
Yeah.
the taunt here, Fabricio in the mid lane, taking up that Vel'Koz ult, and he's just getting melted, but he flashes away and it does expire, so he will not fall, but it looks like they have their eyes on this tower here. R7 Jungle Milk wants to make something out. He's taking a lot of damage. The Silver Bull's Park grab flashes after him, and he does get the kill with that tumble damage, and he looks like he wants to just go more. He's hitting up the Nunu. That's a second kill. 2 kills. That's 3 kills for him on this Vayne. Wants to make it a 4th. He's chasing down this Alistar. He doesn't have the combo. That's a quadra kill for grab there, and he's just going huge on this Vayne. He could make it a Penta. There's an Impale as well. Dot Luminous wants to stop him and deny that Penta. He's dropping the Maiden. Taking a lot of damage is this Vayne, and he's just kiting away. 1, 2 more autos. The stolen away Penta, Cheesy denies his teammate that satisfaction, but they will get that inhibitor as a compensation.
That's a feels bad for Graviker there. I mean, you want to get that pentakill, but you've got
Looks
to
like they
point
just
out
want the game.
the Kai'Sa versus Vayne. Why go for this Kai'Sa build against a Vayne? She's going to be doing everything better than you at all stages of the game if you're just emulating her build. If
Yeah.
you go for the hybrid build, there are some things you can do better than her. You have more burst damage, you have more sustain, and it gives you windows of opportunity. If you're just matching the Vayne, it just means that she's just stronger than you at all stages, and so I don't know why you'd go for this Kai'Sa build,
Yeah,
especially considering the matchup where if you build the same thing as her, she's just going to be doing this. She does what you do, except better with this build. If you're going crit
Exactly.
build, you want to just burst people down with crit damage.
I
And-
mean, if you're gonna go a crit build, just play a crit ADC, right?
Yeah, Vayne, she scales better with crit. You know, Kai'Sa, what does she get with crit? Nothing really. Her abilities don't have any kind of crit scaling. They don't
Yeah.
have any, you know, she doesn't do that well stacking AD. And you have this kit that uses all these different things so well, and I mean, it seems like a wasted opportunity.
A potential, like, the mentality she might have is, I have such a strong front line with the Yorick, the Nunu, the Galio, the Alistar. I can afford to go for this maybe more standard build because of all this protection I have. But maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe it could just be an autopilot on the side of Jungle Milk here. Kind of defaulting because as an ADC, because it's very easy to just fall into the standard. Build an IE, build 2 Zeal items, and then kind of just power spike off that.
Yeah, at this point, I do want to see him pick up the second Zeal item. I think Renown's Hurricane is core on Kai'Sa. You need to have it just because of how valuable those passive procs are.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that if you don't get it by 4th item, you're essentially trolling on Kai'Sa. Normally you want to get it 3rd.
Going in
item.
onto Tomahawk here, they will puck the passive, and the combo misses from Savage Garden, so he will be okay for now. And it looks like they're just going to siege up this tower. So while Team Alvaro here, Alvaro is very definitely in the lead here. What do you want to see Team Joe's Harem do as a response to? How do you want to see them eke their way back into this?
Yeah, so I think the only way they really win it now is that if they get off that kind of miracle engage that we were talking about, which was supposed to be just a standard engage, where they have someone dive into the Galio ulti, and then you just have them all locked down. You keep them there hopefully long enough, and
Oh, it's open force onto 3 members, and he will start the fight off. Absolute Zero only catches 1. Heroic entrance onto the team, but he's not enough. Double kill for the Vayne, and they're just hitting away. Grab is going ham. He's in the middle of 2 members, and he's going to kill Dot Luminous as well. That is a full 4-man wipe. Savage Garden barely limps away with a sliver of health, and that miracle fight was just not meant for this world.
yeah,
And in the end, they're just going to push down this fight, basically capitalize off that beautiful engage from King, and they're going to bring themselves up to a 2-0 in this first show match of our Learning 5 session. Well played, beautiful engage from King there. Grab doing incredible damage, and they will close out this game, ending the series 2-0 in favor of Team Alvaro.
Yeah, and I mean, this was a best of 2 anyway, so this was going to be the last game no matter what. But you really did want to see Joe's Harem kind of put up a good fight and take the win, because last game, they were so even, you know, at most stages of the game, and they actually had a lead for a very large portion of the game. And so
Yeah,
you thought
definitely.
that heading into this game, okay, it looked competitive. It kind of looks more similar to their comp of last game, except you have just a lot of tanks with a Kaisa,
Mhm.
and if you have this kind of composition, 4 tanks and a DPS, that DPS needs to be protected and needs to be dealing a lot of damage, and it just was not panning out, and so it just leaves a very underwhelmed feeling. But Team Alvaro just taking complete control of that, acting so dominant, and especially with Grabiker on that Vayne, just tumbling around, destroying health bars, especially with those 4 tanks against a
Yeah,
Vayne. She's
yeah.
just destroying people.
The feels good game for Grab there. Getting that really beautiful fight in the mid lane, getting a quadra, and basically snowballing this game into a quick victory for Team Alvaro. Well played from both sides, but definitely well deserved victory. And with that, I think this will end our first show match. We have another later today at 9 p.m. EST or EDT. So tune in for that, and we will catch you guys in the next one.